It started as a small, almost insignificant pattern. Every Friday evening, my wife, Jessica, would tell me she was going out with friends. At first, I didn't think much of it. People need social time, and I trusted her. But as weeks turned into months, a creeping doubt started gnawing at me. The excuses were always vague: new restaurants, girls' night outs, or spontaneous shopping trips. Something felt off, but I couldn't put my finger on it. I tried to ignore the feeling, convincing myself I was overreacting. After all, we had been married for 8 years, built a life together, raised 2 children, and I had every reason to trust her. But instinct is a powerful thing. There were small signs: her phone always on silent, sudden changes in plans, and an unusual hesitancy when I asked simple questions about her outings. Finally, I decided to take matters into my own hands. I hired a private investigator, someone discreet, professional, and experienced. I needed the truth, no matter how painful it might be. I wasn't going to jump to conclusions or confront her blindly. I wanted facts, evidence, something undeniable. A few days later, the PI handed me a folder. My hands trembled as I opened it, expecting the worst. Inside were photographs, time-stamped, capturing Jessica leaving restaurants, cafes, and bars, but not with her friends. The images showed her meeting a man I didn't recognize, a man who seemed familiar with her routines, guiding her into secluded corners and laughing in a way that made my stomach twist. I stared at the photos, disbelief mixing with anger. Every Friday, the friends had been a cover. Every casual text, every vague excuse, every smile she had given me when she said goodbye. It had all been a lie. The betrayal was tangible now, undeniable. The reality hit me like a blow. My wife had been living a double life, and I had been completely unaware. I sat there in silence, trying to process what I had just seen. My heart pounded, my mind raced, and 1,000 questions filled my head. How long had this been going on? Who was this man? And more importantly, why? The next few days were a blur of tension and planning. I didn't confront Jessica immediately. I needed a strategy, a way to handle this without letting my emotions take over completely. The betrayal was raw, but I knew that acting impulsively could ruin any chance of exposing the truth fully. I started by observing her subtly, noticing the little things I had ignored before. The way she checked her phone constantly on Fridays, the hushed phone calls, the sudden bursts of energy when she returned home. Everything now made sense. Every inconsistency pointed to the affair. The PI continued to provide updates, each one more damning than the last. They had followed her for several weeks, documenting every meeting, every lunch, every secret rendezvous. The photos, the timestamps, the locations, they all painted a picture I wished I could unsee. Finally, I decided it was time to act. I couldn't let this continue silently. I needed her to confront the consequences of her choices, to see that deceit doesn't remain hidden forever. I planned a dinner, just the 2 of us, in a place she considered private. It would be the stage for revelation, the moment when the truth would no longer be avoidable. When the evening came, Jessica was her usual self, confident, calm, and completely unaware of what I knew. She smiled, tried to make small talk, and seemed to expect the night to proceed like any other Friday. I let her settle into the comfort of her routine, watching her carefully. Every gesture, every laugh, every casual remark. It all fed into the tension building in my chest. Then, as dessert arrived, I calmly placed the folder of photos on the table, sliding it toward her. Her eyes widened in shock, her composure cracking almost instantly. "What is this?" she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. I looked at her evenly, the anger simmering beneath the surface, but my tone controlled. "This," I said, pointing to the folder, "is every Friday night you claim to spend with friends. Every lie, every meeting, every secret rendezvous. I know about him, Jessica. I've known for weeks." Her face went pale, the color draining as she fumbled for words. The power shift was immediate. The wife who had thought she could hide her betrayal suddenly found herself exposed, cornered, unable to charm or explain her way out. The dinner table, once a place of ordinary domesticity, had transformed into a stage for accountability and truth. Jessica sat frozen, her hands hovering over the photos, as if touching them might make the reality disappear. I remained calm, letting the silence stretch, letting her mind race and the weight of her choices settle in. For years, I had trusted her implicitly, and now, every instinct, every intuition I had ignored, had proven correct. She finally tried to speak, her voice shaky. I can't explain. I held up a hand, stopping her mid-sentence. No, Jessica. There's nothing to explain that can undo this. You made your choice, and now you have to face it. Every lie, every deception, it's all here. Her eyes filled with tears, but I didn't relent. I didn't offer comfort. This wasn't about revenge. It was about clarity, about forcing her to confront the reality she had tried to bury. The power had shifted completely. I was no longer the unsuspecting husband. I was the observer, the one with knowledge, the one in control. I trusted you. I continued, my voice steady, carrying the weight of every Friday she had lied. I trusted you with my life, with our home, with everything we built together. And you chose to throw that trust away, week after week. For what? A secret life? A meaningless affair? Jessica's sobs began quietly at first, then grew louder. I let her cry, knowing that words alone could no longer reach her. The photos had spoken louder than any accusation I could make. Her guilt, her shame, and her regret were now public, undeniable and unavoidable. After a long, tense silence, I finally spoke again. I don't know if we can recover from this. I don't know if trust can ever exist again. But what I do know is that I cannot remain blind to this betrayal. You made your choice. Now you must live with it. I gathered the folder, standing up, and placed it back in the envelope. Every step I took toward the door was deliberate, measured. She watched me, realizing fully that her secret world had been shattered, that the lies she had counted on to maintain her facade were gone. As I left the house that night, the air outside felt sharper, cleaner. The burden of uncertainty, the constant suspicion was lifted. I had sought the truth, faced it, and exposed it. Jessica would have to confront the consequences of her actions. And I, for the first time in weeks, could breathe without deception pressing down on me. The betrayal was raw, undeniable, and painful. But I had reclaimed control, dignity, and clarity. Every Friday, every secret meeting, every lie had been brought into the light. And now the path forward was clear. No illusions, no excuses, only the unvarnished truth.